Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the UNSW Health Sciences and Optometry and Vision Science Information Evening. My name is Hannah. I'm a current pharmacy student here at UNSW, and I'll be your host this evening. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which UNSW operates. UNSW respectfully acknowledges the Bijigal, Biripai, Darug, Gadigal, Gambangia, Nual, and Wiradjuri peoples on whose unceded lands we are privileged to learn, teach, and work. We honor the elders of these nations, past and present, and recognize the enduring connection of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to culture, community, and country. At UNSW, we are committed to enabling healthy lives. Within the Faculty of Medicine and Health, that means educating future health professionals and researchers who will strengthen communities, improve well-being, and respond to an evolving healthcare system. We are proud to be ranked among the top medical faculties globally, reflecting the strength of our education, research, and clinical partnerships. Our researchers are leaders in areas such as cancer, neuroscience, mental health, infectious disease, and chronic illness, helping to shape the future of healthcare both nationally and internationally. We are also located within the Randwick Health and Innovation Precinct, working alongside major hospitals and health partners to integrate education, research, and clinical care. For our students, that means learning in the environment where discovery, innovation, and real-world healthcare practice come together. It means being part of a faculty that is not only preparing graduates for today's health system, but actively shaping what the system will look like in the future. Tonight is designed to help you understand the different pathways available across health sciences and optometry and vision science, and to support you in deciding which might be right for you. This evening, you will hear from the head of the School of Health Sciences and the head of School of Optometry and Vision Sciences about their programs and what makes them distinctive. You'll also learn about the student experience from some of our current students. And you will go through admissions and pathway options and hear answers to some of the most frequently asked questions. We hope that by the end of tonight, you'll have a clear understanding of the professional outcomes each degree leads to, the learning environment you would be part of, and how to prepare for your application. It is now my pleasure to introduce Professor Eleanor Beck, Head of the School of Health Sciences at UNSW. Professor Beck is an experienced academic leader and registered dietitian with a distinguished career spanning clinical practice, research, and health professions education. She's internationally recognized for her work in nutrition science and dietetics educations and is a fellow of Dietitians Australia. As head of school, she leads the programs across exercise science and clinical exercise physiology, physiotherapy, dietetics, nutrition and food innovation, and pharmacy with a strong focus on integrated learning and career-ready graduates. Professor Beck will now take you through the health sciences programs and what makes them distinctive. Over to you, Professor Beck.
Thank you, Hannah. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to speak to you tonight about the School of Health Sciences and the health science programs at UNSW, and probably to speak to you a little bit more broadly about health and what it means as well. At UNSW, we're committed to enabling healthy lives. That's a theme that goes across the entire university. But what it means is we're not talking about just treating illness, but we're also improving well-being and considering every aspect of health, from the prevention of disease through to the treatment and then finally the rehabilitation from illness. We consider healthy environments and strengthening communities as integral to health. And then we want to make sure that we're preparing health professionals who can respond to those environments and including our healthcare systems. Within the School of Health Sciences, we have a catchphrase that the future of health is allied, and therefore we offer a suite of programs in allied health and pharmacy, and we offer combined bachelor and master's degrees in order to meet the requirements of those particular professions. So we have a double program in exercise science and clinical exercise physiology, a double degree in both physiotherapy and exercise physiology, a program in nutrition, dietetics, and food innovation, and as I mentioned, the pharmacy program. Each of these pathways leads to a distinct professional outcome. So you actually, can almost like put that title on the door outside, so to speak. But to understand the differences is quite important because it might help you choose which are the ones that suit your interests, but also your ambitions. So we have what we call movement-based degrees, and they sit at the intersection of that I mentioned before, so prevention, rehabilitation, and of course performance as well. We have a bachelor degree in exercise science. It's actually applied exercise science, and that's linked with a Master of Clinical Exercise Physiology. It's particularly designed for people who are very passionate about using exercise as the medium to promote good health. Students begin with a strong scientific foundation in biomechanics, physiology, motor control and performance, and then they go into more advanced clinical training in exercise physiology. The degree gives opportunities to credential. So after 3 years, you can be credentialed as an accredited exercise scientist. Sometimes we call that AES. And also then for the following, when you finish the 5 years, you become an accredited exercise physiologist. So we call that an AEP. And so we like to think that those students already as AES can start to work in exercise-based preventions in healthy populations. So it might give you a little bit of extra pocket money through the last couple of years of your degree. The postgraduate qualification, as I mentioned, it continues the training, but also talks about individuals living with chronic and complex conditions such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, neurological disorders, and of course, mental health challenges. And we span everywhere across the lifespan, so all the way from pediatrics to elderly care. Exercise physiologists design evidence-based exercise interventions that improve quality of life and long-term outcomes. And our second program in exercise also adds the qualification of physiotherapist to those AES and AEP credentials. And it's the only one of these in the country at the moment. It's a Bachelor of Exercise Science, Master of Physiotherapy, and Exercise Physiology. Physiotherapy adds, on top of what we've already talked about, it has an additional focus of diagnosis of injury and some of the restoring of movement and function in complementary to the other exercise physiology, but also broadly supporting recovery. And I guess what makes this program different, as I said, is that breadth. So they develop their deep clinical physiotherapy capability while also still having those really advanced expertise skills in exercise-based rehabilitation and performance optimization. So I think when we're talking about that, we're really talking about sport. And I know a lot of people are quite interested in how that intersects with sport. So both of those movement-based degrees see graduates in varied areas of employment. So it can be anything from a hospital to a private practice, business settings, rehabilitation, including rehabilitation in the workplace, but also community and population settings. Okay, so that's a bit about those degrees. We also have some degrees in nutrition and dietetics, and the program at UNSW adds an extra arm to that, which is food innovation. So we're better preparing our graduates to apply food systems approach to their career as an accredited practicing dietitian. So a few more letters for you. Sometimes they call that APD. Students learn the science of human nutrition, so that includes biochemistry and physiology, medical nutrition therapy, public health and behaviour change. And at the same time, we're exploring food systems and sustainability, product development and innovation. So if we think of some of the really big challenges facing our world today, such as climate, then we know that food's going to be reliant on that climate. So trying to understand how it fits within a system. Food is one of the most powerful determinants of health, and this degree recognises that impact doesn't just happen at an individual level. We will train you to work with an individual person, but also to understand those broader systems that we operate in. So graduates might work in hospitals, they might work in private practice, in community health, but also we're training graduates who can work in policy, research, public health, industry, and also the food innovation environment. And it probably suits students who are really interested in that intersection of the core basic sciences, but how they intersect with health and those real-world food systems, and particularly those who want to have a broad influence on communities and sort of how they eat, how they live, and how they thrive. Our final program that we have at the moment in the School of Health Sciences is our pharmacy program, and this one's also a 5-year program, preparing students, I guess, not just to be what you might think a pharmacist could do, but also expanding beyond those traditional roles. We're currently seeking approval for our graduates to have that professional title of the Doctor of Pharmacy, but it's already an extended master's program, and so it's really reflecting the fact that this program really has a great depth of clinical and scientific training embedded within the degree, because it's exciting to think of that expanded scope of practice that pharmacists are currently engaged in. So they're already considered one of the most accessible and trusted health professionals. I mean, who hasn't been to their pharmacist to get a little bit of advice? They're experts in medicine, how they work, how they interact, but also how to use them safely and effectively to improve individual outcomes. At UNSW, pharmacy students have really strong foundations in the biomedical sciences, pharmacology and therapeutics. We've got a brand new lab for them to sit in, but it's also alongside that early and sustained professional practice experience that you see across all of our degrees. And we also have a particular focus in this program on some of the skills that might be needed to get any positions in the pharmaceutical industry. Graduates, again, can work across this big breadth of places. So it's not just the community and hospital that we might think of traditionally, but it's also industry, it's research, it's regulation and public health. And more pharmacists are playing a really central role in prevention. And that's something that's more new. So vaccination programs and medicine management, which are really important within the multidisciplinary team. So I think it's kind of an exciting time to becoming a pharmacist as the scope of pharmacists continues to increase. This pathway is probably suited to if you're really strong in science, have a good mind for detail, but also can see a big picture as well, and also motivated by improving public health or public safety and the outcomes for individuals as well. So I've outlined 4 distinct professional pathways, but it's probably critical to understand how they're all integrated in a learning environment. And we had some advantage of these all being new degrees. So health care, if you think about it, it's not just one person, it's delivered by teams. It's not people working in isolation, and particularly we don't want people to be siloed off working alone. So that's why students in our programs are engaging in shared professional development courses and also interdisciplinary case-based learning. From an early stage of the degree, they're learning how different professions are contributing to both individual care, but also to those healthcare systems, and how improving that teamwork, so collaborative practice as we call it, leads to better health outcomes. Our interprofessional education is embedded from year 1, and it includes students from all our degrees, and they learn what's my scope of practice, what are the things I do, what are the things that other people do, and what are the things we can do together. They learn how to behave like a professional, how to talk to each other and communicate at an individual and a group level, learning about behaviour change. How do we help people improve their own health, but also basic research skills. And by putting that into a structured professional development framework, it helps students learn all the skills they need to become a health professional. So we're helping our students as well to be culturally responsive, to be anti-racist, and to learn culturally safe environments, especially in partnership with our First Peoples academics and our community partners from First Peoples. This is what we think is making our graduates as future ready as we possibly can do, and as they will be able to do, dealing with hands-on learning, and it's a defining feature of our degrees. So we think that the way you become a good health professional is to get that confidence, and you get that confidence from having experience. That means you're learning in environments that reflect real world practice. Students have access to our brand new Health Translation Hub building, a purpose-built facility, which is in the Sydney Health and Innovation Precinct. Within this environment, they've got access to state-of-the-art clinical teaching spaces, and they're designed very specifically for our students and with our students in mind. We have a UNSW lifestyle clinic, which is a key part of this experience, and a large number of our students, particularly in the movement-based degrees, get to have opportunities in that clinic. And it also provides an environment where students can work with real clients in real time on everything from prevention to lifestyle interventions and also chronic disease management. And it sort of translates the things that our students are learning in theory into meaningful patient impact. Pharmacy students, they get the opportunity to be in a brand new simulation pharmacy, and it's fully equipped. It looks like a pharmacy and has a counselling environment, but just with a few extra, some extra seats to make it a classroom environment as well. And it allows our students to develop professional communication, clinical decision-making, and particularly medication management skills. And it's in this safe environment without actually being able to do any harm. So make sure that our students learn in these environments before they necessarily are doing things unsupervised. So we've also got access to many teaching facilities. We've got dedicated teaching gyms, more than one of them. We've got biomechanics laboratories, that capture movement and allow you to study it. They support the practical training in exercise prescription, rehabilitation, and of course performance. How fast are those people running? You can work that out in our biomechanics space. There's also purpose-built teaching kitchens and nutrition laboratories, and probably another one of those to come. And our students there can learn things about food preparation, dietary analysis, the clinical nutrition applications that they will actually have to do as a nutrition professional, but also some things about food innovation. When I go around these environments, I think they're really impressive. And I guess it's not just that they are impressive as a room or a building, but they're also integrated into our curriculum. So our students get to apply that knowledge in those authentic contexts. They're building not only technical skills, but also that professional confidence that I mentioned before. Okay, so we've got a lot of things. We've mentioned some of them before. The mental health awareness, we've got some cultural safety and cultural responsiveness. We have advocacy skills, we have person-centered care, and we have understanding health systems. And a really important thing for you to probably understand is that all of health professions have those skills, and we're making sure that the students we have in the School of Health Sciences and our health science programs are learning those skills. So we're asking our students not only how to treat a condition, but how to improve quality of life and strengthen the communities that people are sitting in when they leave that healthcare setting. So our graduates are entering our professions that have strong demand. Unfortunately, we're not getting healthier, but we need to make sure that our new health professionals are trained to deal that. We know all the different settings that they'll work in, as I've mentioned, so everything from that individual care to a group setting, to a community-based setting, to research, industry, and of course emerging digital environments as well that are really important in healthcare. Importantly, they lead equipped to lead, to adapt and contribute meaningfully no matter how the health system evolves. We're teaching our students to learn so that they can create a new future in healthcare. Ultimately, our mission's quite simple. We want to educate health professionals who work together to improve life for everyone. We would be delighted to welcome you into that journey, and we're sure that there's a great opportunity if you do join us. I'll hand back over to Hannah. I think she'll take you through the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Professor Beck. That was an inspiring overview of health sciences at UNSW. It's clear how our integrated learning environment, professional practice focus, and hands-on opportunities prepare graduates for meaningful impact in healthcare. Up next, it is my pleasure to welcome Professor Lisa Key, Head of the School of Optometry and Vision Science here at UNSW. Professor Key is an internationally recognized clinician and academic with deep expertise in optics, eye health, and clinical education. She leads the school's vision science and clinical optometry programs and is passionate about research-driven education, professional readiness, and improving visual health at both individual and community levels. Professor Key will now take you through the optometry and vision science pathways and what makes them distinctive. Over to you, Professor Key.
Thanks, Hannah. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to introduce the School of Optometry and Vision Science at UNSW, a school with a long-standing national and international reputation for excellence in both clinical education and research. Vision is fundamental to quality of life. It shapes how we learn, how we work, how we connect to others, and how we experience the world. Protecting and improving vision is therefore not just a clinical responsibility, it's a societal one. Within our school, we offer two distinct programs of study, Bachelor of Vision Science and the combined Bachelor of Vision Science Master of Clinical Optometry. It's important to understand the difference between these two pathways because they lead to different professional outcomes. The Bachelor of Vision Science is a scientifically rigorous degree focused on understanding how the visual system works, from the biology of the eye to perception, neuroscience, optics, and emerging vision technologies. Students explore how we see, how visual disorders develop, and how advances in science and technology are transforming diagnosis and treatment. The pathway is ideal for students who are deeply curious about the science of vision and may be interested in research, innovation, industry, public health, or further postgraduate study. It provides a strong foundation in biomedical science and positions graduates to contribute to advances in eye health, visual technology, and research. For students who are passionate about science and discovery, the standalone degree opens pathways beyond traditional clinical roles. It's also possible to transfer internally into the Master of Clinical Optometry, and others might consider further training in low vision and rehabilitation with the graduate diploma in orientation and mobility. The Bachelor of Vision Science Master of Clinical Optometry is our professional pathway for students who wish to become registered optometrists. Optometrists are primary healthcare professionals specialising in eye health, vision correction, and the detection and management of ocular disease. What distinguishes UNSW's program is the depth of its clinical training and its integration with research excellence. From early in the degree, students engage in hands-on clinical learning, developing practical skills alongside scientific knowledge. A defining feature of our program is the UNSW Optometry Clinic, one of the most advanced university-based optometry clinics in Australia. Within this clinical environment, students gain supervised experience managing real patients using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and working with a professional healthcare setting. This early and sustained exposure builds confidence, competence, and professional identity. By the time our students graduate, they are not only clinical capable, they understand the broader healthcare system and their role within it. Our school is internationally recognised for research in areas such as myopia control, ocular disease, visual perception, and vision technologies. Importantly, our research informs our teaching. Students will learn from academics who are shaping the future of eye care, ensuring that their education reflects the latest scientific advances and prepares them for a rapidly evolving profession. As eye health challenges grow globally, including rising rates of myopia and age-related eye disease, the need for highly skilled, research-informed optometrists and vision scientists has never been greater. At UNSW, we are committed to enabling healthy lives. In optometry and vision science, that means improving access to eye care, addressing preventable visual impairment, and ensuring patients receive evidence-based, culturally safe, and patient-centred care. Our graduates will work in community and hospital settings, private practice, research environments, industry, and public health. Many go on to leadership roles within professional bodies and healthcare systems. Through clinical immersion, professional development, and exposure to real-world patient care, our students graduate ready to practice and ready to lead. Whether you are drawn to the science of vision or to becoming a practicing optometrist, our school offers a pathway grounded in research excellence, clinical depth, and meaningful societal impact. Vision shapes lives. And through education, research, and clinical care, we are proud to shape the future of eye health here in Australia and globally. We look forward to welcoming the next generation of vision scientists and optometrists. I'll hand back to you, Hannah, who will take you through the rest of the event.
Thank you, Professor Key. It's clear how optometry and vision science at UNSW combine research excellence, clinical depth, and real-world impact. We've now heard about the programs from our heads of school, but what is it actually like to study them? To give you insight into the student experience, we're now going to hear from some of our current students. Now, please join me in welcoming Hayley, who is studying the exercise science and exercise physiology, Anna, who is studying nutrition dietetics and food innovation, and Winston, who is studying optometry. We'll share our experiences of studying at UNSW, what we've enjoyed most about our programs, and what life is like both inside and outside the classroom. All right, well, let's start by quickly introducing yourselves and what made you choose the degree you chose.
So I'm Hayley. I'm in my 4th year studying exercise physiology. And actually a really fun fact was in year 12, I was actually very certain that I was going to pick engineering up until the trials. And I really thought about it and I was like, I'm actually not really interested in, I guess, physics and science and all of it. So I really took a step back and had a big think about what I was always really passionate about. And for me, since I was very young, it was sport. So I started looking into physiotherapy, exercise physiology, those kind of things. And I was like, you know what, I'll just go with it. And yeah, I haven't looked back ever since.
Great.
For me personally, similar to you in terms of like the clinical aspects of things, I think like most Year 12 graduates, we don't really know what we want to do. And I guess for me, I chose optometry because it gave a good balance between like retail, health, and fashion. And so I guess you're not only like just clinically managing someone, but you're helping them improve their overall confidence and how they present themselves too.
Amazing. My name is Anna. I'm a 4th year dietetics food innovation student. I had a similar trajectory from Hayley. I didn't know what I was going to study, but I kind of was leaning towards business. And then when UNSW released some new health degrees when I was at a HEC Expo, I saw this and it caught my eye.
Yeah, that was really similar to me with pharmacy. And once you guys did start, what actually surprised you the most about your degrees, whether it was academic or practical?
Yeah, what I would say was I was really shocked at how much science was involved, especially in my first 2 years of my degree. But the great thing is, even though I didn't study chemistry or biology during my HEC years, I was able to get through those subjects with the help of my peers, but also it's quite manageable at the end of the day. After that, and getting through those subjects, I was able to be exposed to a lot of other theory and practical aspects. So whether that was in labs, with clinical experience, working with other allied health students, that was pretty lovely. That was quite surprising for me.
For me personally, I guess the biggest surprise was clinical stuff. I guess around the world, for me personally, when I was in Year 12, I thought optometry was simply 1 or 2, like when you go to an optometrist. But being in the clinic, I get to see so many different patients and learn from so many different supervisors. And it's so broad. And I guess that was the biggest shock to me, knowing that there's so much depth to it.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, what shocked me the most about health degrees at UNSW was because the cohort is so small, you really do stick with the same group of people for your whole degree. And I personally really, really liked that. I was really worried in high school that I wouldn't, have friends in every class and every semester. It would just be rotating and I wouldn't get to really, establish this relationship I'd have with my teachers and peers. But yeah, I found that because it's such a, small, cohort for each of the different degrees, I've really, made really nice relationships with both my teachers and peers. It's really just great to see familiar faces when you're stepping into, a new class every single time.
I agree. The community is really nice here. Everyone kind of knows each other. So yeah, we've spoken a lot about hands-on experience. Could one of you or each of you share a practical experience, like a clinic or a lab, that really stood out to you?
Yep, so for me, just earlier this year, I was rostered off at another place that wasn't at the UNSW clinic. And so I got to see really advanced problems and I guess being so confronted with how we really can impact people's lives. I think that was the takeaway message for me.
Definitely, yeah.
I think for me, I had a placement at a high-performing gym in Maroubra. And I guess I didn't really notice the impact that my degree would have. So I was helping, an older gentleman with his exercises. He was recovering from a hamstring injury. And it wasn't till the end of the session when he was like, oh, what you're doing is a really good job. I'm really glad that you came in to help me out today. And I think it's that impact that you don't really understand that you have as a student, especially in healthcare. And you're starting out, you're not in that workforce just yet. But what you're doing does make a big impact to other people's lives. And I think that's what made me really happy.
Yeah, and I think that definitely comes with working in a role with healthcare. For me, I was really, really fortunate last year to be able to go on a rural healthcare clinical experience, which UNSW actually started, hosting these clinics where different allied health students can go to different rural areas. So I went to Deniliquin, which is a little bit further from Wagga Wagga. This was a really, really nice experience. So I was able to work alongside a fellow professor, but also who has a dietetics background, and we were able to see different patients alongside some med students and other physio students as well. So that was really, really nice to be able to be exposed to rural healthcare in New South Wales, as it's not something that we always think about being students in metropolitan areas.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, our degrees do have some reputation for being a bit challenging. So how have you guys managed the workload and what support has really helped you?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned before, having that really small cohort and having these, relationships that you build along the way with your peers and your teachers does help a lot in terms of studies. I find it's very easy to, speak to people because I already know, I've already made that relationship. And I think obviously university does come with its challenges, but I think it is very easy, especially in healthcare, because you already have those well-established relationships. As well as that, we actually have a really strong, social aspect at UNSW in health as well. And I think it's really nice to, meet other people in your degree who might be going through the same things as well. I think that's what's made it super manageable, is being able to help and speak to other people and getting to meet other peers through other things like societies and clubs.
I definitely agree. So for me, I've been a student representative for the Optoms community for the past 4 years, and through this, I got to really meet everyone else in my year, and I guess it's comfortable knowing that you become friends with all these people, and I guess you think about studying with each other, but I guess you find comfort in knowing that everyone's struggling with each other to get through. And these people are going to be your lifelong colleagues as well, because the profession is so tight.
Yeah, that's definitely the case for my profession as well, with such a small cohort. I would definitely say that the workload does ebb and flow. However, the way that I've seen UNSW structure is I'm still able to work, I'm still able to see friends and balance my lifestyle. So I think that's really important in university, not only the academic side, but also to have somewhere else, a different aspect, to be able to just relax and balance that as well.
Great. I think there's some really helpful advice in all that, so thank you very much. And to finish, I would like to hear one sentence from each of you. So what is something that you would say to a year 12 that is considering your degree?
Yeah, I think for me, if you really want to make an impact and you're really passionate about, sport and the human body, I'd say exercise physiology and physiotherapy are definitely pathways that you could consider.
Yes. So if you are a student considering studying nutrition and dietetics, you won't regret it. So get excited to love what you do. And just remember that if you're someone who is passionate about health and passionate about how food works alongside our lifestyles, this is a degree for you.
Yep, and if you're a student considering optometry, I highly recommend it. Not only are you learning how to treat people's vision, you're also learning how to make an impact on their overall quality of life. You learn about how in-depth everything really is, and I guess overall how we see in general.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's always so valuable to hear directly from our students and learn what the experience is really like. We've now explored the programs themselves and the student experience. For many of you, the next big question is, how do I get in? And to guide you through admissions requirements and pathway options, I'm pleased to introduce Alice, our Faculty Recruitment Officer. Alice works closely with prospective students and schools and has extensive knowledge of the entry requirements, selection criteria, and alternative pathways into our programs. She will take you through what you need to know about applying, key dates, and how to prepare a strong application. Over to you, Alice.
Thank you, Hannah. For many of you, this is the part you've been waiting for. How do I get in? All domestic student applications for our undergraduate health sciences and optometry programs are made through UAC. It's important to understand that our health professional programs are competitive. Places are kept and determined by the accreditation requirements and the availability of clinical placements. Meeting the minimum requirements doesn't automatically guarantee an offer. Let's begin with assumed knowledge. For most of our health sciences programs, including exercise science and clinical exercise physiology, physiotherapy and exercise physiology, dietetics and food innovation and pharmacy, the assumed knowledge is chemistry and mathematics advanced. For Vision Science and Vision Science Master of Clinical Optometry double degree, the assumed knowledge includes chemistry, mathematics advanced, English advanced, and physics. Meeting the assumed knowledge will ensure you're well prepared for the academic demands of these degrees. If you have not studied one of these subjects, bridging options may be available, but we strongly encourage you to meet the assumed knowledge whenever possible. Now, let's look at academic entry requirements. As the demand for our health sciences and optometry programs is constantly high, and with the places kept each year, these programs typically attract strong academic results. It's important to remember that selection is based on your selection rank. Your selection rank is your ATAR plus adjustment factors. For the indicative ATARs on recent entry, we recommend visiting our degree finder page. Please scan the QR code to access the page. This will give you an idea of the level of academic performance students achieved to get an offer into our health sciences and optometry programs. It can also help you to set study goals and choose the degree that is right for you. Please keep in mind that the published figures are provided as a guide only. There are not fixed cutoffs and may vary each year depending on demand and the number of available places. Next, I'll go into more details about adjustment factors. Adjustment factors may contribute to your final selection rank if you're eligible. UNSW offers several adjustment schemes. These include HSC+, the Elite Athletes Performers and Leaders Scheme, known as EAPL, and the Educational Exit Scheme, or EAS. HSC Plus is designed to reward strong performance in Australian senior secondary certificate subjects relevant to UNSW undergraduate degrees. You can receive up to 5 points. It's automatically applied to your application through UAC, so no separate application is required. For the Elite Athletes Performers and Leaders Scheme, known as EAPL, you may be eligible for up to 5 points towards your UNSW admission for excellence in sport, academic, leadership, and/or music at an elite level. The Educational Access Scheme, known as EAS, considers factors that may affect your study. Things like long-term illness, financial hardship, language difficulties, and educational disadvantage. If you like to be considered under EAS, you need to submit the application through UAC. Eligible students can receive up to 10 points towards their chosen UNSW degree. Overall, eligible students may receive a maximum of 10 adjustment points in total towards their admission across all adjustment factors schemes combined. Please check out the website for full eligibility criteria and detailed information for these schemes. All health sciences and optometry programs will consider EAPL and EAS adjustment factors. However, for HSC+, the optometry as well as physiotherapy programs are not included in this scheme. Next, we'll go into our 2 special admission pathways: the Gateway Admission Pathway and the Indigenous Preparatory Programs, or pre-programs. Gateway is an entry scheme to UNSW for students who are underrepresented at university. Eligible students may receive reduced ATAR requirements for their preferred degree, with an early conditional offer. To be eligible for this entry scheme, you must be an Australian or New Zealand citizen or Australian permanent resident, be completing an Australian Year 12 qualification in the year of application, and have completed one in the last 5 years, and meet at least one of the equity criteria, including live in a low socioeconomic area, identify as Aboriginal and/or Torres Strait Islander, attend Gateway School, or hold an eligible permanent protection, temporary protection, or bridging visa. You're required to submit your application through the Gateway Admission Pathway application portal, as well as submit your UAC application. For a Bachelor of Vision Science, Master of Clinical Optometry, priority will be given to regional and remote students, and up to 10 places are available. Just to avoid any confusion, the Gateway Admissions Pathway is different from the Gateway Entry Scheme for a Bachelor of Medical Studies, Doctor of Medicine. The medicine program has its own eligibility criteria and a separate application process. Please check the Gateway Medicine Entry Scheme website for more information. For Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, UNSW offers dedicated entry programs through Nuragili, providing tailored academic and cultural support. The pre-programs are 3-week intensive residential programs for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students pursuing undergraduate study at UNSW. The pre-programs offer an alternative entry pathway into select UNSW degrees, which doesn't depend on your ATAR. Upon successful completion of your pre-program, you may be offered a place in a related undergraduate degree. Applicants are required to apply through Nuragili and specify in UAC. If you believe you may be eligible for any of these schemes, I strongly encourage you to explore them early. Last but not the least, I'd like to clarify one pathway that we're frequently asked about: the pathway from vision science into clinical optometry. Students can apply directly to the Bachelor of Vision Science, Master of Clinical Optometry double program through UAC. There is also an alternative pathway. Students who commence in the Bachelor of Vision Science may apply to transfer into Master of Clinical Optometry after completing the Vision Science component. To be considered, students must maintain at least a credit average, which is a minimum 65 WAM. It's important to understand that this pathway is competitive and not guaranteed, as places remain subject to availability and academic performance. For all of our clinical programs, early preparation is key. Developing resilience, time management skills, and a genuine understanding of the profession will also serve you well. Most offers for these programs are made in December UAC rounds. We rarely make offers in the later rounds. Here are some key days to keep you in mind during the application process. UAC applications are already open. The early bird application closes in late September. We encourage everyone to attend our UNSW Open Day on the 5th of September, where you will have the chance to meet UNSW staff and students and learn more about our degrees. In December, be sure to attend our Info Day, where you can understand what to do in the time between getting your ATAR and when you need to lock in your uni preferences with UAC. Make sure you preference your program carefully and monitor key UAC days. Scan the QR code on the screen for more information on UAC preferences. We understand that applying for competitive health degrees can be overwhelming. But if you meet the assumed knowledge, aim high in your academic performance, and explore eligible pathway schemes, you are positioning yourself strongly. And if you're unsure which pathway is right for you, or whether you may be eligible for adjustment factors, our team is here to help. That's all from me now. I'll hand you back over to Hannah for the Q&A.
Thank you, Alice. That was a really clear overview of the admissions process and the pathway options available. We know that applying to university can feel complex, especially for competitive health degrees. Hopefully, that has given you a greater clarity about what's required and how to prepare. We're now going to cover some of the most commonly asked questions. We've received a number of questions throughout the evening in the team's Q&A, so thank you for sending those through. Our team will continue responding to questions in the chat as we go. If you haven't already, please use the team's Q&A to submit your questions. If you see a question you'd also like answered, you can use the thumbs up function to help us prioritize it. I'd now like to invite our speakers back to join us as we go through some of these frequently asked questions. Great. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I have a question for Professor Beck and Professor Key. So are there specific assumed knowledge subjects, so things like chemistry or biology, required for our degrees?
So at the moment, the university doesn't have those entry requirements, but what we find is that for some programs, it's far better if you do have those as assumed knowledge. So we do encourage students when they're choosing their subjects going into year 11. We think it's a great idea. You know, if you're going to be a pharmacist, then you might want to know some chemistry, or you might at least be willing to do some of those kind of calculations. But it's not absolutely essential.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so it's the same, for example, for optometry. We do recommend that people have taken physics. Chemistry is also a good subject. We do recommend advanced English and advanced mathematics. But once again, like Eleanor said, it's not a prerequisite, it's assumed knowledge. So you can work with that, but certainly a good idea to think about your subject choices if you're thinking of a health profession.
And is it possible to transfer internally between health degrees?
That's a little bit difficult. They're accredited programs, so they're quite prescribed in the courses that you take each year, so not too much flexibility. One example that we do have is that you can transfer from the Bachelor of Vision Science into the Masters of Clinical Optometry. So that's one specific pathway. It's quite competitive out of the HSC to get into the full 5-year program, and we have that other option.
And I think it's similar in the programs that are offered in the School of Health Sciences. you can transfer if you get a very good marks in your first year of study, for example. You can transfer across to another degree, but it's really based on the amount of spaces we have in the degree. And also, if you think about it, if you're studying to be a pharmacist, it might be very different to studying to be an exercise physiologist. And so you would have to still go back and be an equivalent of first year. The only exception we have in that is, of course, that because we offer both a degree in exercise physiology and a double degree in physiotherapy and exercise physiology, they actually share a common first year. So we do have a little bit of transfer in between the two of them, back and forth in those two degrees. But again, it's highly competitive and based on the amount of spots that we have.
Great. Thank you so much for answering that. So my next question is kind of related to that. What's the difference between exercise science, exercise physiology and physiotherapy? I'd like to ask Hayley and
Yeah.
Yes, so I'd say exercise science is, I guess, understanding exercise and how that kind of has an impact or influences the human body. And then looking at exercise physiology, that's when it gets a little bit more specialised. So it's a specialisation of exercise science. It's when you're really looking about how exercise might impact things like different human diseases, for example, like chronic back pain or like osteoarthritis. So like I mentioned before, a little bit more specialised. And for physiotherapy, I'd say you're looking more at medical treatment and rehabilitation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. It's good to see you've been listening in your classes. But I think what I would add to that is, if you think about it, a 3-year exercise science degree is all the underpinning things that you need to know, and it mostly deals with healthy populations. So giving advice to people who may not have major medical conditions but may need advice on exercise. When we go to the exercise physiology, as you mentioned, you're probably dealing with populations who have some of those conditions already. And the physiotherapy and exercise physiology are really complementing each other with a lot of crossover in the middle there, with the exercise physiology having more advanced skills in the prescription of exercise, and the physiotherapists having some more skills in the original diagnosis and the manual therapy sides of things. But both of them actually use a lot of exercise in the ongoing treatment and rehabilitation.
Great, thanks for that insight. And do you have to complete both the bachelor's and the master's to gain accreditation?
Yeah, so if you want to be accredited as an accredited exercise physiologist and an accredited a registered physiotherapist, then you do need the whole 5 years. But you actually, at 3 years, are an accredited exercise scientist. So if you wanted to exit at that point, you could. Or a lot of our students have that credentialing now, so that if they wanted to get a part-time job in exercise science, then they would be able to do that.
Great.
Yeah, so that's certainly the case for our programs in the health sciences are generally a bachelor's degree with a master's degree. And well, I've talked about accredited programs, which, it means that those professional bodies, the registration bodies, or whether a professional association recognises the training program, they do require that full 5 years is done before you're, for example, a registered optometrist. So our students who graduate out of those 3 or 5 year programs have a specific, pathway into a career.
Great, thank you. And I had another question about placements. So are they compulsory, and how are they integrated in learning?
They are compulsory. I mean, like we've just talked about being profession ready. This is a professional entry pathway in almost all of our programs. So, when you go into a position after you finish your university training, you could be a pharmacist, you could be a physiotherapist, you could be an optometrist, and you really needed to have that work experience. We embed across all these programs pretty extensive work integrated learning. So these are where you're attending real world clinics, you're an active participant, you're leading consultations in many circumstances, and that's a really integral part of your training. So you're really ready to join the workforce after you've finished your university training.
And a lot of those placements later in programs are full-time, and that really gives you that opportunity to integrate into another department if the placement's at a hospital or another clinical setting or a public health setting, to really get that perspective. Maybe in our exercise science placement, that's a little bit more integrated, taking place at the same time as coursework. I think Hayley, you've done some placement, and how did you go last year?
So as a student, I found that doing placement in my third year, obviously because I haven't finished my whole program, it kind of really gave me that big insight into, I guess, what it would really look like in that workforce. And it really does give you opportunity, especially with UNSW. There's so many different options that they actually help source for you. So I was very fortunate to go to a high-performing gym in Maroubra. So I get to work with athletes, which I never really thought that I would get the chance to do that in my degree, but I thought that was super cool. In terms of hours, I know a lot of students generally like to ask how many hours it is. I think it was around 140 hours across one term. So I was looking at around 10 hours a week, super manageable with my, schoolwork as well. And then going into my master's, I believe it's around 400 hours, but it's working with more clinical, hospital setting, which I'm also looking forward into. And I guess it's really exciting to have that opportunity in exercise science to explore different areas that I didn't think I would ever get the chance to explore. So working with athletes, people that really, want to pursue exercise and go the furthest that they can, and then moving into that different setting, into the hospital setting, and, seeing a different side of impact that you could have on people.
Great. Yeah, I find with pharmacy, they introduce placements from the first year. And it's really important and really insightful because it's so different from seeing it in the textbook and actually practicing it. So no, it's a great hands-on experience. Okay, I had one more question. So what kind of careers do graduates go into, and how prepared are they?
I guess they're very well prepared.
That's the intention. I mean, we do encourage an attitude of lifelong learning. So this is the very beginning of a long and varied career, but you've got an incredible foundation. And often, as we've heard from the students in these conversations, you've found your passion. You're with other people who also share that passion. So it's a really great foundation, and one of the clearest opportunities is often to start working as that professional, really consolidating that knowledge and getting to be part of the health workforce. So you can do that from day one, but there's many opportunities for further development, of course.
And I think what we're trying to teach our students is this really understanding that what we teach you today, I've been a dietitian for 35 years, and what I was taught 35 years ago, it's not necessarily all the same now, or at least we have some advances. And so what we want to make sure that our students can do is that the most important thing they do is understand their limitations, so know how to seek some advice when they need it, but also the fact that they can map a plan for their progression. So they, as you said, lifelong learning, make sure that they're keeping up to date, and then have learnt the skills to be a health professional. And one of those professional behaviours, of course, is realising that you never know everything, and you can keep on learning.
Yeah, definitely. I think that highlights the importance of interprofessional collaboration between all the different health fields as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for your insight today. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's session. We've covered a lot, from program structure and professional outcomes to the student experience and admission pathways. We hope you're leaving with a clearer understanding of the different health sciences and optometry and vision science programs, and which pathway might be right for you. I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to Professor Beck, Professor Key, Alice, and our wonderful student speakers for sharing their time and insights this evening. And of course, thank you to all of you who are taking the time to join us. If you still have questions, our future students advisors are always available to support you. We also encourage you to visit the campus at Open Day on Saturday, the 5th of September, and explore our facilities firsthand. We wish you every success as you complete your studies this year and prepare your applications. And we hope to see many of you at UNSW in the near future. Good night, and thank you again for joining us.